Good morning and welcome to another episode of Atlanta Legal Experts Radio. I am your host, Emily-Rowell, here at the Pro Business Channel Studios in the wonderful Peachtree Offices location in Buckhead. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. I have Craig Williams with me this morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good
Glad
morning.
to be here.
Yeah,
Excited.
I am too. It's early.
Little ale in the morning. Huh?
Yeah, 8 o'clock.
I hear you.
Perfect time. And we have a special episode today. Every first Tuesday of the month, we do attorney help show, quote unquote. And today we have somebody who has done a lot of things for attorneys, and he's actually one of our sponsors. But first, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our sponsors. Peachtree Offices is our number one sponsor. If it wasn't for Peachtree Offices, we would not be here.
Literally.
Literally would not be here.
And figuratively. I would say so.
Exactly.
We wouldn't even be here.
I know.
Rich and I.
Yeah.
I mean,
we wouldn't even be in the studio here.
Yeah, you're right.
So they help attorneys actually establish their practice all throughout Atlanta. And we have Atlanta's own John Marshall Law School. Our third and most important sponsor is Alvaro Arauz with 3A Law Practice Management, and he joins us in the studio today.
Good morning. Good
Triple
morning.
A thread. He's got three
Yes,
A's. I've
3
got a
A's.
middle initial like yours, but I don't have the 3A thing going.
Yeah, and you've got to
It's
go
pretty
with
powerful.
3A because AAA, then people call me if their car breaks down.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And we also have Raya Greathouse with us this morning.
Hey, good morning. Glad to be
Great
here.
house. That's a powerful name.
It is.
We'll talk about that later. though.
Yes.
Williams is strong, though. I mean,
But great house.
great house.
Listen to that.
Yeah.
It rings.
We've got a lot of good last names. We've got Arouse, Greathouse.
Is that a lawyer thing or something?
Yeah. Well, Alvaro's not a lawyer.
Oh, he's not.
But he plays one on the radio. So great. I'm going to go ahead and start with a little background on Alvaro. He is with 3A Law Practice Management, as I said, and is a consulting company devoted to helping lawyers start and grow their practice by improving attorney performance and using technology to streamline workflow, thereby creating more profit in less time. After almost 20 years in the business, he has seen it all.
Long time.
You don't look it.
Sure does.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
He
Good
looks
genes.
20 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Started when he's 19 or what?
Yeah, I get that. Usually 12th grade.
So,
That's 19. Isn't it? Oh, some for some people.
so tell me, how did you get started?
Really just kind of made it up. My parents were in medicine, and so I was going to follow that path and learned how to run the clinics. Went to work with my dad since I was like 10, and it was an hour drive each way, so I would get an earful of how to run the business. But decided to be a writer instead and not pursue medicine, and I helped a lawyer look at some boilerplate language, and when I got into the office, I said, well, why aren't you doing this? And she says, I don't know how. And I said, well, I'll do that. And this was back in 97. And so I built her a little network and then, talked to her about recruiting an associate to help, and she had never done that before. Then we got into books and into her books and realized she was renting space. And I said, why don't you own this building 2 houses down? Let's just form an LLC and renovate it. And she says, well, I don't know how. And I said, well, I'll take that over. And long story short, we got to $1 million about 3 years. And by 5 years, we were close to $4 million. And it just kind of took off. We opened 3 offices, hired about 14 attorneys, 20 staff, and so you learned how a $5 mistake when it's just you and it's early can end up costing you $500,000 in 10, 20 years of having a practice.
Wow.
So,
Sounds like you're the attorney's handyman.
Yes.
yes, I've never been called that, but that'll work. Yes. Yeah.
So tell me, one of the biggest mistakes, like you said in the very beginning, that people can make or attorneys can make when they start their practice.
A few things. Obviously, you have this desire that you want to go out like gangbusters and spend a lot of money and have that image, but it's really important to keep it lean as for long as possible. It's about the net profit margin. And so if you can keep it, don't get extraordinary space in your first year. Go to like with Peachtree Offices or something, keep it lean. Right when you're squeezed out for needing support staff, wait a couple more months, So really just keeping it as lean as possible. The second thing is going to be discipline. You have to have the discipline of it's an 8 to 5 or it's sometimes 24/7 an hour job. You're always on the clock. If you don't have an appointment until 1 o'clock, that doesn't mean you sleep until 9:30, get into the office at 11. You treat it like it's a normal day, and you have to hustle. And so really just being economical and being disciplined, especially at the beginning.
I'm sure trying to avoid spending too much on advertising would be one.
Yeah, no, advertising is, especially at the beginning, you're not going to have, you can't compete with a Ken Nugent $1 million marketing budget. You can't compete with $30,000 SEO a month, especially at the beginning. And your best quality referrals are going to be from other lawyers, other trusted advisors, former clients. And those are all free. Those are all lunches, coffees, some sort of client campaign. And that's where you get quality referrals. And also the average size of the case is usually bigger than through the internet. So it's important to focus a little bit on web presence, a little bit on social media, and keep an eye on each aspect of marketing, but really don't spend too much money, especially in advertising at the beginning.
I've got a quick question because I'm still stuck on that $5 mistake costing you
half a million. I mean, because
is that exclusively just for attorneys? Because I don't want to, I'm not an attorney, so I don't want to make one of those $5 mistakes over here in media. That cost me about $500,000. So
I mean, it's going to be the same thing. A lot of it is transferable to other professions. I just happen to work with lawyers.
Okay,
but it's really pay attention to your analytics, because you'll see that if you're not tracking what happens, you can lose sight of it. And next thing you know, you blink, it's been 5 years and it's been, it's been bleeding, and you don't feel it. You're not writing a check each month, and so you don't notice it. But if you're really paying attention, you'll see it.
Sounds like you do a lot of coaching too, or do you?
I want to say 50% of what I do is psychotherapy. Just helping, giving them the confidence that they can do it, giving them the tools that they need to do it. And a lot of that is just, giving them that motivation to just, don't necessarily look at it this way, look at it this way. And as you get bigger, also I deal with, it's a lot about how you are as a leader, how you are as a manager. It's not necessarily being a lawyer, or it's about being a boss now. So there's a lot of that stuff that attorneys never have to deal with until they get, to a certain size.
The power of being a good boss.
Yes.
Or having one. And sometimes they might hand that responsibility over to you.
I try. I'm more of a teach them how to fish.
There you go.
I don't want them I would love them to call me every day, but I would hope it was for a different reason.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, what does that say as a teacher?
And you talked a little bit about referrals, and I know from working with attorneys for over 20 years as well, that
she started when
she was 19. So young.
Yeah, I mean, both of you. Yeah. Y'all go to the same high school.
13th grade.
Oh, no, 13th. Okay.
That they get a lot of their business. I mean, and some of them, literally, that's all they get is from referrals from clients, former clients, and other attorneys. So I believe you've made it a business for yourself, too.
Pretty much on referrals.
Yeah, and just shaking hands, and it's a money saver, but then it's so valuable.
It's valuable, because what you want is you can't be your only salesperson. You have to rely on everybody you meet being your sales force. And so if they know who you are and who you help and how you help them, then it's easy for them to spot somebody who would need your services or would need your help. And so making sure you have a clear understanding of who you are and who you represent, and everybody that you meet, telling them that same information so that they can in turn refer you. And then from there, obviously, your acumen, your reputation hopefully backs it up. But really, depending on people who already have a trusted relationship, which is a client, another lawyer, a trusted advisor, These are people who say, listen, I know you trust me, and now you're in this need, and I can't help you, but hire Raya. He can help you with that. You know, so that's where the person will easily just say, okay, Raya, I've been told to hire you.
Because it's a trusted referral.
Yeah.
So tell me, some attorneys are very shy. They love what they do, but they don't want to get out because they're just good at what they do. How would they get started networking? Like what's a
you want to I've worked with hundreds of lawyers, and I've seen their personalities are really, I mean, I've had some movie stars even, but it's one of those things that find what you're good at, find what you're comfortable at doing. I always find out, you know, are you active in church? Are you active in community? What are you already doing?
I like that.
And then how can you tweak it into a marketing opportunity so that they're comfortable, that are in their zone, and then you just teach them, here, this is how you can actually turn this into a marketing or a referral source or a potential consult. So really just, you know, I'm not going to stick you at some power core meeting at 7 a.m., you know, because I would hate it, you know. So it's same sort of thing. So what do you like to do? And then how can you craft it? You know, some people were active writers. You know, they used to write for a living. And I'm like, well, guess what? You're going to be the firm blogger now.
Yeah.
You know,
get into the Writers Guild or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we love you over here, Power Core. It's
yeah,
I mean,
and B&I.
Yeah, B&I and all that. But like he was saying, yeah, you find that lane. You're passionate about that lane. I mean, if you're an attorney who loves to bowl, start a bowling league.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, there's attorneys that Rich raised his hand. He likes to bowl, I think. You know, golfing, you know, it's one of those things. If you, like one firm, I would say, well, what do you do? We'd like to golf. We go golfing every Thursday. I was like, great, awesome, fantastic. Yeah. Who do you go golfing with? Just me and my partner. I was like, no, you're missing the boat. Take other people with you, you know. And, you know, there's tons of things that you can do in terms of hobbies and mixing it up with networking opportunities.
What type of law firms do you usually focus?
Small to mid-size. You know, there's a handful that's about 1 to 3, and then a good chunk that are 5 to 10, and then a few that are about 15, 20 attorneys. But it's usually small to mid-size. I've tried as high as 54 attorneys, but that starts getting too...
Is it because of your staff that you have? I mean, are you're geared for that small media?
Well, not exactly. I mean, we've been able to scale. We're in 26 states now, and so you know we have a staff of 5, and so
you did say AAA, so
yeah. So I mean, it's one of those things that I like staying in that space. You know, I feel like I have a bigger impact there. But moreover, that's where the legal community is going. That's where lawyers are going. Big firms are going the way of the dinosaur, and that's where clients are going. Clients are going towards small to mid-size. So, and there's really nobody in that space. So if I stay in a space that I'm comfortable in, I stay in a space where I see that's where the community and the legal market's going, then...
And that translates to your client as well. Like you're telling them to stay in their space.
Yeah.
And so you're eating your same cooking.
I same cookie. I drink the same Kool-Aid. Yeah. I mean, and that's what I built my business with the same thing that I tell lawyers to do, you know, market an hour and a half a day, you know, be disciplined, you know, be strategic about what you're doing, you know, don't cast quite a wide net, you know, build on referrals, stay active in the community. I'm on several nonprofit boards. I give CLEs all over the country, a couple international. So, you know, if I do it and it works, it tends to work for the lawyers too.
So we are talking about how attorneys just starting out can start their firm. Do you also work with established
actually,
firms?
I started this for new firms because what was happening was the graduating classes, they weren't placing as many people into jobs. And so it was like law schools would be 97% got a job within a year, you know, then it fell to 80, then it fell, you know, now it's like it got down to 45.
Wow.
So that missing class, they were going to need, and there were layoffs. So I created this law firm in a box pretty much. This is everything you need to open your firm. I ended up working completely with experienced attorneys, established attorneys. I mean, we only did, I want to say, this is even just 4 or 5 years ago, we only did about 5 startups a year. In October, we signed up 8 startups.
I know.
So, something's changing. Either the economy's changing, attorneys are getting braver.
Well, they see that 45% too. Like, uh-oh.
Yeah. So it's turning into a lot more startups, but still the bulk of my business is established firms just looking to streamline or kick it up a notch.
So how, for those established firms that will hear this, what do you do exactly? How can you improve their efficiency in their
Well,
firm?
because the bigger you get, the more processes, procedures, personalities. There's a lot of things that you need to keep your eye on, and that's where the $5 turns into $500,000. Because if it's just you being inefficient, that's one thing. But if you've got a staff of 10, plus attorneys billing at $400 an hour, that's
serious multiple.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah. So
keep it lean.
Keep it lean. So being efficient, at that level is going to be important. Having processes, case management, and technology is going to be a big prong. And then obviously marketing is always first and foremost on everybody's mind,
We've had some technology vendors on here, and it's unbelievable the things that they can do for the attorneys.
Yeah, I mean, because, just even as simple as, docketing a calendar, it takes time, and sometimes there's human error. So if you can automate how the calendar gets docketed, that would be very helpful. How they produce documents. A lot of times it's, when was the last time we drafted one of these? And then you go in and change subject-verb agreement, gender agreement, obviously apply the law and what's specific to that case, but it still takes time. You can automate some of these things, and you still need that lawyer's touch, but only use that lawyer's touch when you're using the lawyer's mind, not to edit documents or to be, revising things that you shouldn't have to.
Is there anything new on the horizon for you, Alvaro? Any changes coming up or
nothing? No, nothing too big. We're trying to launch still the online version of 3A to help more attorneys.
It's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, and it's kind of been 6 years in the making now.
Do you have a book?
Nope.
We might have to work on that.
No, yeah, no book.
He's a writer too.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
We'll get that done
afterwards. Yeah,
you'll have to come back and announce.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, nothing. I mean, we're like I said, we're trying to launch that online campaign for that national presence that we've built. But really, just it's been exciting. This was an exciting year. We picked up a lot of cities we didn't have before. Chicago, Cincinnati, Boston. So they've been, it's been fun.
Yeah, traveling.
Yes.
I've seen some pictures.
Yeah, it's fun. It's good being able to speak and travel and really work with lawyers everywhere. It's I love what I do. I like the lawyers that I work with. Yeah, I can't complain anything.
That's great. So we'll come back to you in just a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and introduce. Yeah, you can't go anywhere. You're stuck. Raya, but if you'll tell us how the listeners can contact you first.
You can find me a variety of ways. You can always call me 404-219-8076. You can email me. It's 3A, the letter 3A, at 3alawmanagement.com. You can go to the website, which is 3alawmanagement.com. You can send me a LinkedIn message. You can poke me on Facebook.
I'll do that. I'll poke him right now.
Well, thank you so much. And also
welcome.
Thank you for sponsoring
No problem.
the show. It's huge help. So we will mention our sponsors. Speaking of, you are listening to Atlanta Legal Experts Radio. I'm your host, Emily-Rowell, with Peachtree Offices, who is our sponsor, and Atlanta's John Marshall Law School. Can't get that out this morning. I don't know why. It just doesn't want to come out.
It's Tuesday.
I know. Yeah, that's probably it.
Day after Monday. Always happens.
Yeah, she still has turkey kind of layover.
That's it.
Are you dating this show? It's evergreen. Go ahead.
And I think the theme for today's show is fat-free.
Fat-free? Is
yes.
it?
You said keep it lean,
Yeah,
so
keep it lean.
Keep it lean.
Okay.
Last week was organic.
Yeah, so the the fat-free handyman for attorneys here today.
There you go. I'll have to write that one down.
So we welcome Raya Greathouse.
Hey, how are y'all?
Thanks
Welcome.
for being so quiet.
Thank you for having me. No, I'm just soaking
didn't
it
have
up,
to.
listening to Alvaro,
Taking
the guru.
notes.
That's what he always does, right? That's what you
Right.
pay him to do.
Yeah,
Keep
exactly.
talking.
Since being admitted to practice law in the state of Georgia, Raya W. Greathouse has been counsel of record in over 1,000 criminal and civil matters throughout the state with a high rate of success. Raya earned his law degree from the Thurgood Marshall School of Law at Texas Southern University in Houston, Texas, where he graduated in the top 10% of his class. Following law school, Raya joined a premier DUI defense firm, where he zealously represented numerous individuals charged with DUI. While representing DUI clients, Raya earned his certification in National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, DUI detection, and standardized field sobriety testing, and attended the National College for DUI Defense at Harvard.
Wow.
Time.
Smarty pants.
Yeah.
It was just an application. That's all.
Just an application?
That's all. An application, and they took
Don't
the money.
downgrade
They took it.
He has also served his community as an assistant district attorney in Fulton County, Georgia for several years, where he prosecutes cases ranging from drugs to violent felonies throughout the country. His service as a prosecutor allows him to offer his clients the perspective of a prosecutor that oftentimes proves to be beneficial. I had to say that.
That's powerful.
It's huge.
I mean,
it's a big part for his clients.
It is. It's like having the inside track.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, the guy's 6 feet tall, but he seems so much bigger than that on paper.
On paper.
So tell me what area of law you focus in.
Well, right now I am focusing on personal injury, wrongful death, and criminal defense, as well as DUI.
Is that the majority? Like, I know you focused pretty big on DUI. Do you have a good amount of cases in DUI?
Well, I do. I do take DUI cases. However, the majority of my work does come from personal injury cases.
I could imagine.
It is quite voluminous. There are so many car accidents a day, so many injuries at the hands of others on their property, and it's like every day there's a new issue that arises that I'm able to tackle. So that's largely where I'm focusing right now.
You spend a lot of time with the structured settlement guys too, or is that?
Well, the structured settlement,
Yeah.
I don't want to, downplay that, but that gets a little tricky, and that can always create certain issues further down the line. So I always kind of encourage my client to be patient, because you talk about that $5 mistake earlier. It always comes back to bite you. Excuse me. It always comes back to bite you, because what is a $10 loan today is not a $10 repayment tomorrow.
So they must value your counsel, and that's why you're
absolutely. It takes time. It's kind of like the wine process. If you want it too early, it's just grape juice, but you let it mature and you let it work a little bit, it becomes fine wine.
I just had a download. A lot of times we're influenced by the 1-800 this and that, and we react as opposed to at a time like this, you really want to be in business with that person like, and trust. And referral business is very important at this time, in this juncture, when you have an accident or a wrongful death case. You need to and in order to be patient, I mean, that's a characteristic of, quote, love, patience.
Right.
So if you're motivated by the last number you heard on a commercial, you're probably not going to be as patient. And I think there's probably a correlation between those people who are taken advantage of or are rushed because they're reacting as opposed to responding through relationship.
Right.
In a time like this.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's true. I mean, that's one of the things I like about Raya, and he can speak more to it, is how his view on clients, which is, it's something that he's learned working at the DA's office and working in private practice. But
absolutely, it's such an honor, and it's so humbling being an attorney, because people come to you at their lowest point, and so often, and it's unfortunate that I've seen so many clients taken advantage of, where they're just treated as another number. And one of the things that I saw at the DA's office was that you got to stick by your client, by the person that you're serving. And that's just something that I want to stay committed to. And it's not even always the results that people want. They just want someone to care.
And go through that with them.
Right, exactly, to know that they have someone holding their hand, someone that's by their side. So that's our aim, is that we don't want to be the type of firm that's just quick to get you in the door, get you out, get your money, and move on to the next. We want to make sure that every client is taken care of.
I like that.
You say wrongful death, and I don't mean to. I mean, this is not a light, conversation, because death's in it. But is there such thing as rightful death?
Well, a wrongful death is actually.
That's a good question.
Yeah. Right, good question. A wrongful death is a death that occurs due to the negligence of someone else. Not to say that there's a rightful death, but obviously, if you die of natural causes or an illness, that's something that I can't necessarily say, oh, we can sue someone unless obviously they had a hand in causing that to happen. But a wrongful death, if you're injured or killed on someone else's property due to several acts that they could have prevented, for instance, that's something that may be an action where someone like our firm could.
What's an example of, like, an apartment complex or?
Well, sure.
Dog bite?
Well, an apartment complex. So, for instance, if you are in an area that is a high crime area, and the owners know that it's a high crime area, they've had several crimes on the property. However, they don't take any reasonable measures to protect you, such as having security presence, or having proper lighting, or any security features such as cameras, gates, those type of issues. That can be an action. It's called negligent security, which is something that I've been pretty successful at, where you can hold the owners responsible for certain acts that occur on their property.
Wow. And premises liability, tell me a little bit about that.
That's the same concept, just holding someone responsible for actions that occur on their property, so long as it's foreseeable and they fail to take those reasonable measures.
And these are things that when you're thinking about it, what are tangible types of cases? Like, what kind of case is that? And so he mentioned the apartment complex, and lack of security, and then somebody goes and gets, attacked and raped. A premise liability, maybe something happens at Kroger,
right?
Where Kroger should have had some sort of more responsibility.
Like an associate of mine fell in front of a Publix, and there was a pothole there, and there was no cone out or warning or anything.
Right.
So
well,
she was able to sue.
That's of course a premises liability case as well. Of course, it's not a negligent security; it's a different type of premises case. But that is something that we see quite frequently, where there are certain defects on the property that they should be aware of, or they are aware of, and they don't take the proper actions to make it safe for their visiting patrons.
Since someone earlier kind of dated the show, excuse me. Is that why we have more cops during Black Friday in the stores to let you know this is off limits right now? Possibly because of what has happened, maybe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Safety should be the primary focus for any of these store owners or property owners. Anytime you're going to have invitees or guests on your property, you absolutely need to take all precautions possible to.
You also have to consider how crazy people can be, even
absolutely
to their own devices.
Especially on Black Friday.
Absolutely.
That's mad.
Yeah, interesting.
So tell me, I want to go back a little bit, and I'm sorry for changing the subject too much.
Don't be sorry. This is your show.
That's true.
Hey, we could go back to last. Well, no, we won't go back
organically.
How did you get started in law? What made you want to be an attorney?
I wish I had some deep, profound answer, but a
lot of attorneys say that. Just so you know,
I was in undergrad and I had really good grades, and I did not have a plan after college because it was the terrible start of the recession.
2008.
So were you going to do real estate at one time?
You changed one of the famous mortgage lenders.
And it just happened. I had the grades, and I was fortunate enough to get into the law school where I applied, and therefore I went.
So you were telling the truth earlier about you just put the application in and they took it.
That's
your money.
That's kind of how it went. But also both of my parents are in the legal profession, so it's kind of always been there.
The fruit does not fall far from the tree.
It's always kind of been there, so it runs in the family.
It's very profound.
The fruit part or the running in the family?
Both.
It's got to be fat-free fruit. Say that.
All of it is fat-free fruit. Go ahead.
Sorry.
We regress.
Yes. Well, that's wonderful. I like to hear how people get in, and it sounds like you're very dedicated.
Absolutely.
So you must have had that quality from way before, not just.
Well, you said earlier that you worked with the DA. Is that after you started going to law school, or was that some history before you got into?
After once I became an attorney, I was an assistant district attorney in Fulton County.
I think that's beautiful because we've heard before how some have worked on the other side,
and then decided to become an attorney.
Yeah, because they see the need and they meet the need, and you're an advocate, you're a trailblazer, and we appreciate you. Keep up the good work.
He's a great house.
I appreciate that.
Exactly, he's a great house, folks. He's a great house.
So for people that are listening that either have a friend that's been injured or have been injured themselves, what's the first steps that they take?
Well, the first thing is you want to get a report. You want to have a record of the incident. So often people unfortunately walk away and think, oh, maybe it's not a big deal. And then the pain or the injuries kind of come on a little later, and then you're thinking, oh, I'm hurting. Mm-hmm. I need to go in and get some help. And then the bills start coming in, and then you're saying, well, I need some help with this. I need to be compensated. Yeah. And then you're saying, well, shoot, I didn't really get the name of the person who was on duty at the store. I didn't, or I was in an accident. I didn't call the police. So it's kind of my word versus that other driver, and I don't even think I got their name, I don't remember what I did with the slip of paper where they wrote their name on. So you have to make a record because in law we are all about evidence. What can you prove? What evidence do you have to back it up? And it starts with the report.
What does it cost to hire an attorney? I mean, is it always that they kind of hear out your thing to see how much money they make? Some people have that perception that
attorneys.
Tell me more about this thing.
Well, I can tell you that I do not have the wait and see approach. Any personal injury case that I take, it is on a contingency basis. If my client doesn't get paid, I don't get paid.
That's great motivation.
It's as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
Great motivation.
But I'm also not going to waste your time. I'm going to be upfront and honest, and we're going to work through the case together so that you don't have these unrealistic expectations. Unfortunately, that's kind of the problem with a lot of these advertising firms is they kind of make these promises that they can't live up to, and the client walks away wondering what happened. Mm-hmm. And the attorney takes, the biggest piece of the money, and the client's just sitting there feeling like they've been tricked.
Mm-hmm. So when you first meet with the client, what's the first thing that you suggest them to do?
Well, one of the first things I obviously want to know what happened.
Yeah.
Tell me what happened because I'm
simple,
not a mind reader, so I need to know everything. I need to know all details. Don't leave out anything, the good, bad, and the ugly. As your attorney, I need to be aware of all of the facts. Another thing that I always tell them is make sure that I'm the only one that you're telling this to. Mm-hmm. So often, whether it be in a criminal case, as I'm sure y'all have all seen First 48.
Yeah.
Where they go and they run their mouths, and what happens? They end up getting arrested, right?
Yeah.
Or, in a car accident or another injury case where the other insurance company contacts them and the client's thinking, oh, well, they just want to know what happened. They're going to help me get paid. And, and they end up using their words against them to find ways to kind of weasel out a paying them. Mm-hmm. So I always tell them, stop talking. Don't post anything on social media. Talk to me. Let me do your talking for you. And that way I can preserve, your rights.
Is there ever a case that you talked to somebody and said, there's really nothing I can do?
There are times. Unfortunately, we live in a society where we are a very litigious society, meaning that, people want to sue very quickly.
Even if you don't want to hire them. I mean, if you won't work for them, like,
they always want to find
do that
a way.
Too?
Well, there are ways that people can file lawsuits on their own. However, I don't advise that.
Ill-advised.
I am not a big fan of that because there are certain requirements, and the majority of actions really are not actions. They are not viable lawsuits. So it is very important to seek an attorney to go through that with you, because just because you're injured does not always mean that you have a claim, unfortunately.
We've said in the past that you should talk to several attorneys before you decide, or not several, but a couple at least,
Sure.
before you decide. Is that an advisable?
I do advise that, just because anytime you need to hire an attorney, it's a very serious situation. It means that you're going through something that you need help. You're going through a situation where you need someone there who knows what they're doing.
It's a relationship also.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah,
and going into what I was saying is you want someone who you trust, who will pick up the phone, who will answer the phone for you, will come out and visit you if need be. Someone that has your best interest, and that you're not just getting someone randomly who you'll never meet because you called a hotline number.
Yeah. Right. Well, if you'll let everybody know how they can reach you.
Sure. There are a few ways that you can reach me. You can reach me 404-969-1218 is the office. You can visit us on our website, atltriallaw.com. Or you can email me, Riah, that's RIAH, at atltriallaw.com. I am also on LinkedIn and Facebook.
And you're also going to be on the Pro Business Channel page as well.
Yes.
Yeah. And L
Radio.
Landing page and all that kind
He's
of stuff.
expanding everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
Globally now, since you've been here. I mean, there's nothing left.
There it is.
Left but the universe.
Reach for the stars.
Yep.
So I would like to go in more, because this is an attorney help episode, talk a little bit more about how Alvaro has helped you, Riah, and kind of how you guys met and a little history there, if y'all don't mind.
How did we meet?
I met you when you were still at the ADAs. You showed me your badge.
We did. I guess we did. The
what? What was that acronym?
At the DA's office.
Okay.
He was assistant to the district attorney, and they have these, like, it's not an FBI badge, but it looks like an FBI badge.
It's an official,
It's a badge.
It's a badge.
Yeah.
With the star on it?
Oh, yeah.
You're
Shiny,
upholding
yeah.
justice,
My goodness, man. You
need
still have that thing?
When fighting
You have it
crime.
on you?
No, I've turned it in.
Surrender it.
I thought
turned
you
it
may
in.
have it framed on the wall.
No, I should have.
Dude, that's what you need in
should
the
have.
car, man.
Yeah, well, he doesn't abuse his power.
No,
I'm not saying abuse them, but use them.
Yeah. He was at the DA's office, and I think he was thinking about making a move, and we went to lunch, and we talked about what he wanted to do, and I said, if ultimately you want to have a PI practice and be out on your own, go work in-house somewhere for about a year or so and get that experience and get the kind of what you need, on the personal injury side.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we just
and that's what's happened. So that was a few years ago, and I have taken his advice every turn, and here I am today. He said go and learn from somewhere else, and that's what I did for about a year, and then we ran into each other again because I actually believe I referred him to a friend who was looking to start his own practice. So, I've always kind of kept in contact and just seeing the results that he's getting. I figured that's someone that I want to be aligned with, and it's been great.
So, what did he focus on for you when you did engage him?
Well, our thing is we're doing it slowly but very methodically. We want to do it the right way, and that means
it's that $5 thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
That means
and you don't want the wrongful death way type thing. Yeah.
Right. Right.
You're tracking, man.
That means having certain operations in place so that once we do have a client, we can service them properly to make sure that they're happy and, I'm being efficient, not wasting time and resources.
Dude, that's a poster child for
Yeah,
you. I mean, he's spitting out everything you just said a while ago.
And the one thing that I think Alvaro helps a lot with is the referrals and meeting other attorneys. He does that for me, just out of the goodness of his heart. But I know he does that for his clients. Can you tell me a little more?
Well, absolutely. I feel like this guy knows everybody. He's like the mayor. So, just walking next to him.
How can you not like him? Look at him.
Only 12 years old.
He's only 12.
Well, just walking next to him, people say, oh, well, he's important, so maybe I should get to know, this guy standing next to him.
I need to grow my hair back out. It was the hair.
It was the hair.
Yeah.
So I've been the beneficiary of his goodwill. I've gotten to expand my market and the individuals that I know. And like you said, the majority of the great cases are coming
no pun intended. Great cases.
Great house.
Great house.
I mean, go ahead.
The great cases belong with great house.
Yeah, sounds like a book.
That's it. Right
sounds
there.
like a book.
I just write it down. Somebody write that down,
please.
So, can you pinpoint like one specific thing that you really think that he has helped you?
Confidence, because we go to classes and none of them teach the business of law. In law school, we're so concerned on how to think like a lawyer, how to act like a lawyer, how to be in the courtroom, how to do law. But then no one says, oh, by the way, you have to get the clients in order to, do the work. And that's where Alvaro comes in. It's kind of that hand holding, so to speak, someone that, that I can call and say, hey, did I make the right decision? Is this what I should be doing? And he's right there and he'll just listen to you. And we've had conversations where I've ended up being the only one talking because all I needed was someone to just listen.
Yeah.
You're like a bartender.
It's a supplement.
Yeah. That's exactly what he is. He's a bartender without the alcohol.
Without the alcohol.
So it's doses. You got to take them in doses.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying, half of what I do is just, some of that psychotherapy is just, you can do it, and it's that's really important. Just what do you need to focus on today? What do you need to focus on this week?
Taking one step at a time.
Yeah, because you can get really overwhelmed with what you don't know. Mm-hmm. You're really overwhelmed with what do I handle now? What do I have to worry about in December? And, being available to the client. If you call, hey, I'm freaking out about this. And it's like, don't worry, that's on the radar. We're doing that on week 6. What I need you to focus on this week is this. And it's been, it's a building process from finding space to finding out what his brand is going to be to a website to everything case
and
management.
I think that calmness and almost like therapy is good for you to give to your clients. So you kind of pass that along.
Absolutely.
So when they call and they're all injured and they're in a panic, then you can say, hey, just take a step back. And so that's kind of neat because it
absolutely. Well, it's hard to take on someone else's problems when I've got a whole bunch of problems myself.
Exactly.
So Alvaro is the one that kind of makes sure that my house is in order, so that when I have a guest, I can figure their situation out instead of trying to
we give
juggle.
What we get.
The great house.
Yeah.
Right.
I had to say it.
That's beautiful.
Well, this is great, and I just I think one other thing that I don't know if we've really mentioned, we've said it, but not really. I think one thing that I've learned about Alvaro is that he kind of helps you with the back end stuff, and so that you can kind of focus on being a lawyer.
Right.
Is that true?
Absolutely. Going back to that, having your house in order. Clients are hiring me to be their lawyer, not to have my attention in a million other places. I want to be able to specifically focus on them. And that's what Alvaro helps me to do.
Yeah, it's, because especially if you're running a PI practice or a combination practice where you've got more than one practice area, keeping the deadlines organized, the processes, the procedures, you don't want to be fumbling around trying to either waste time or figuring things out. Mm-hmm. If you've got the back end all configured right, then you can just focus your energy on your existing clients and then finding new clients.
Which is your theory.
There you go.
Or not theory, but saying. What is it?
One of the mantras, one of the 3A mantras.
This has been great. Is there anything else you'd like to say that Alvaro's done for you, or?
It's hard to really put it into words. I'm here today in the studio thanks to Alvaro. And we've been, successful thus far. And we haven't even fully launched. So I can't imagine, once we are ready to really.
When you say you haven't fully launched.
We've been working on this a couple of months. It's usually a 3 to 6 month process. Starting a firm, I've done it as quickly as a weekend. Left a job on Friday, had to open shop on Monday. Yeah, but with Raya's, we want it to be just really methodical. Hit it right when the holiday circuit is coming out. You're about to see a lot of announcements. For his firm coming out, and so you've got to balance it between what's coming out in the new year, when's the good timing, and again keeping it lean just to make sure that we're doing it the most efficient way possible. So
that's a good keeping it lean for the new year.
Most definitely.
Take that.
Not that we want to date this evergreen content that we're creating right here, but. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Oh, this is funny. I'm sorry. This has been a great show, I think.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We got two great minds here.
Good time.
I keep using the word
have
great.
To come back.
I wonder why.
I know. We're going to have to keep getting updates from you.
Sounds
so you'll
good.
have to come back and announce some more things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the big thing is, if you know somebody who's been in an accident, gets hurt at Publix or at Target, or gets robbed at their apartment complex, those are the kind of cases that Raya
or been arrested.
Yeah. Right. That Raya can really help you, and especially with the experience that he had at the DA's office, knowing what the other side thinks and how they're wanting to prosecute the case. To also, his experience in personal injury and negligent security cases. I think,
You seem to have a niche.
That is a niche. We
niche.
want to be
tomato in the South. Get away
we
with
want to
a
be
lot.
specialists. We want people to feel, confidence
Yeah, definitely
in us.
not do the whole.
We don't do everything. That's all we do, so that we can be the best, and that you're in good hands.
And Alvaro, for you, good person to refer you would be what?
A lawyer.
I know.
You know any lawyers?
But like attorneys that maybe are running in the gerbil cage, in the.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of times it's that gerbil cage. It's that inefficiency, or they just can't break it to that next level. They've kind of been stuck in a zone, but or. It's been everything: partnership agreements, mergers, closing down a firm, opening up a firm, expanding opening offices in San Francisco and Las Vegas. If you
that's where he prefers.
I would like a client in Hawaii. I don't have any in Hawaii.
I'll help you with that one.
Yes,
you're the go lean guy.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to go lean, call 3A.
There you go. I like it.
But not like in a diet way.
No,
like in a lawyer way.
Yeah. No.
Go lean on the lawyers. Okay, well, that does it for this show. And thank you so much for listening, everybody out there in the global
Thanks, Mom.
world. Look, Ma, no hands. As I stare at the pink pig across the street.
Oh, they're really dating us this man. Rich, what's up with this? It's beautiful, though.
Thank you so much for listening. This is Emily Rowell with Atlanta Legal Experts, signing out.
Thank you again for joining Emily Rowell and her guests on the Pro Business Channel. Use the social media links here to share today's show and stay tuned for the next episode of Atlanta Legal Experts Radio.